Why, hello there. Interested in Goth noble cavalry from the great guys over the Gripping Beast? Well, you came to the right place.
Well, their entire collection at this point.
We have their entire... Oh, no, we don't have the Goth infantry.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah, we will get there. But they're not an important thing at the moment. The reason we got these ones wasn't actually to fight the Romans. Well, it was to fight the Romans, but I'm converting these figures to be German horse in mail. So it's kind of German heavy cavalry, really, for earlier periods. So I'm not using the helmets, I'm just using the actual clothing of the horses, the guys on the horses, and I'm doing a bit of conversion. Anyway, that's that. So these are Goth noble cavalry, and technically these will go up against the Romans we've already done unboxings of. And that's the Goths painted up on the back, and a completely life-size model of exactly the size the model is. No comment. Yeah. Right, so that's them, and I gotta say these figures are great. I've done a few up, and they're actually really good. The downside is there's 3 poses, and that's it. And
it's the same with all the Gripping Beast stuff, really.
All the Gripping Beast stuff's the same, but this guy, you can have him having a spear, you can have him having a sword, all sorts of different things you can do, and they just look great when you've done them. They look really like they're doing something. Very actionable. Pop them out. We have the bases, which are great, because the more cavalry bases the better in my opinion. All the sprues are the same, and these are the sprues. And we've done the Roman heavy cavalry, and if you've seen the Roman heavy cavalry, they're exactly the same.
I just realised that.
Yeah, it's the same horse, it's the same riding men on the horse.
And weapons.
Almost same, same spears. The biggest difference is, if I adjust the camera up a bit, is the helmets, and these are the Gothic helmets. And you can see there's quite a wide variety of pretty awesome helmets. Very nice helmets. You've got the wolf's head, I believe that is.
Where?
There.
Oh yeah, so it's a bit like the Saxons.
A bit like the Saxons, yeah, the Saxons have the same. So it's mainly the heads that are different. And I really like them. They're quite good. I've already made a few up, but I haven't used these heads. I've used German heads, which are a little bit like the Gallic heads. A few captured Roman helmets and stuff like that to make them look good, and they're pretty cool. So, what do you think?
I like them. Yeah.
Well, that was a bit lackluster.
Because they're very similar to the cavalry.
They're pretty much the same as the Roman cavalry.
The only thing that changes, a couple of the weapons are a bit different, and the heads.
Well, it kind of makes sense because the Goths were Germans at the same time as the collapsing Imperial Rome, and Imperial Rome were cheapskates and equipped their troops with pretty naff gear.
And you can make them the exact same.
And therefore they look the same as the Germans. I would say Romans are better trained, but Western Romans now they're just
and they didn't have
savages,
armor.
really. That's the thing about the Goths. The Goths are basically just Germans. Germans have always been a problem for the Romans. Varus's legions were destroyed by the Germans some 300 years earlier than this. And when was that? Oh, hang on. How long would it be? About 9 AD, was it? The Varus's legions?
No clue.
Yeah. Anyway, so Varus's legions get destroyed by the Germans. The early Imperial Romans knew how to deal with this. They went into Germany. Germanicus went into Germany and eliminated about half the population of Germany. And that meant the Germans weren't going to be a problem for a couple of generations. Funnily enough, 2 generations later, the Germans were at it again. And the Marcus Aurelius had to deal with them, and various other leaders at the time, and they dealt with the Germans again. And then a few generations later, you have the Germans coming out again as the Goths this time. The Goths and Alans and all that lot. All threats to Rome. The Eastern Roman Empire had a kind of deal where they paid the Germans not to attack them, which meant that the Germans kept coming back every 10 years saying, "Oh, can I have some more money?" And the Romans went, "Yeah, here you are, it's fine." And the Western Roman Empire, they didn't have the money to pay, and so they would allow the Goths in occasionally. So the Goths would turn up on the border and say, "We want to live in your shiny land and eat your food." And the Romans said, "Fine, sounds great, and you come." However, all firstborn children have to be slaves for the Romans. Well, that doesn't work out well, does it?
Yeah.
They also ate their dogs as well. The Romans ate their dogs, which was weird. The Germans ate their dogs. The Romans gave them dogs to eat. It's just complicated. And then as the empire began to fall apart, because suddenly half the population speaks German and the people invading are German, plus not many people are paying taxes, and the army doesn't carry proper gear anymore. It's poor, and oh god, we've discussed this in another video.
Yeah.
So eventually the Goths, the Germans, said, "Stuff this for again, soldiers, this empire's ours now." And the Romans sort of went and lost. Kind of tried to fight a bit if they could really be bothered. Rome fell. Honorius's wife married the leader of the Visigoths. Therefore, the leader of the Visigoths became king, not emperor, king, because he didn't consider Rome to be important. He conquered it, and so they sacked Rome for the most part, and that was the end of Rome.
And
Good.
Nowadays, Rome's just...
It's still ruins today, yeah.
So is Athens.
Yeah. I mean, they may have won the Eurovision, but that's about the only thing they've won in the last 2,000 years. But yeah, the Romans have finished. But the good old Byzantines, they had a different tactic. See, they paid the Alans and the Goths. They gave them money, and every 10 years they'd come back. And then eventually, after paying them lots of money, this army turned up, not ready to fight, expecting to get money. And the Romans said, "Oh, we've got no money for you." And then the Romans ran away. And so the Goths went into the Byzantine Empire, following the Romans, until they'd outrun their own lines of supply, and the Romans surrounded them and massacred them.
Yeah, it works.
Thereby ending the problem of the Germans entirely. They then went into Germany and set fire to it, which is how Byzantines dealt with problems. I am kind of bigging up the Byzantines here because they weren't that good, but they had a few good leaders who knew what they were doing. But the Western Romans, absolute pants, and it probably did them a bit of good to be conquered by the Goths, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
I mean, then you ended up with the city-states period, and then you ended up with modern countries that we have today, more or less. All comes from that Gothic invasion, and of course the Franks were Goths. The Franks were part of the Goths, and they became the French. Got rid of the Gauls. It's always a good thing, getting rid of the Gauls. And there we have it. We have some Gauls left in Normandy and Brittany. They're Gauls still. We have a few Gauls left in England, in Wales and Ireland. But other than that, it's all Germans.
So no command sprue?
The command sprue is actually part of it. So you get the flag there, and you get the pointy helmet there.
And if I'm right, they do print it on every single one of them, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah,
they're all the same. So if you ever need spare flags for your forts, you got one on every sprue. With the Romans, I found the heads really useful because I wanted the faceplate for the cavalry, so I cut that off and used it for my early Roman, which is useful. So we had four strips that gave me 4 helmets, like one for each command. So that's okay. Have we got anything else to discuss? Because the figure-wise, we've already had this conversation.
Yeah. Pretty much the Goth noble cavalry, isn't it?
Yeah. Although I'm surprised all the Goths have got round shields. Because I think Gothic cavalry had oval, didn't they?
I don't really know much about Gothic.
I've seen a few pictures of them, all sort of drawings, and they tended to seem to have oval shields, a bit like the early Roman shields. Trying to think, over time it evolved into like the Norman shield, the kite shield type design. But I don't know. I don't know a huge amount about this particular period. Not Western Rome, anyway. So maybe everything I said was wrong and Western Rome was amazing and did really well and just lost for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Long live Byzantine. Although the Goths did actually get right up to Constantinople, which was good for them. They all died, but they nearly got to the gates. You know, that was nice. Right, that's it. Nothing else to discuss on this.
Right, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and comment down below what you think of the Goth noble cavalry.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much for watching. It's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.